So welcome to class. It's Brittany with Scott Leroy Marketing. Today, again, we are going to be going over Website 101. So this is going to be the setup and basic edits for your actual command website. We're going to be going over how to set up those standard pages. We're also going to be going over how to make any tweaks to those pages if you only have those 3 pages added. If you have started adding custom content, that's completely fine. Nothing that we do today will interfere with any of those custom pages that you've created. So to start, we're just going to be logging into command, and I'm just on agent.kw.com, and I'm just going to log in with my credentials. And I'm using Firefox today as my browser. I know that's usually a common question as well. If you are using Google Chrome, everything still should populate the same way. However, we have noticed sometimes Internet Explorer and Safari give you a little bit of trouble when it comes to the website platform. I just happen to notice that Firefox works best for my computer, but by all means, use whichever browser works for you. Once I am logged into my command platform, the first thing I like to go over for class is going to be the marketing profile. So in order to access the marketing profile, we're just going to go ahead and click on our name in the top right-hand corner. And then we're going to click on settings. And most of you are probably familiar with this. A lot of you have probably already set this up, but we're just going to spot check it and make sure it looks good. Once you guys are under settings, you guys are going to see a new version of settings populates on the left-hand side. We're just going to go ahead and click on Connect Settings. And then nestled right underneath that is Marketing Profile. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on Marketing Profile. And then accept cookies so you guys can see my whole screen. So the first thing you guys are going to see with your marketing profile is going to be your headshot and your team logo. You'll notice that both of these images are essentially being fit into a circle. That being said, for your headshot, if you have a headshot that was maybe rectangular, whether it's horizontal or vertical, if it's not cut or cropped to be a perfect square, you'll notice that your headshot may look a little bit wonky. Chances are it is squishing it to fit into that circle. That being said, for your headshot and your headshot only, it does need to be cropped to be a square in order for it to show up correctly on all of your platforms. So if you guys need help with that, just let us know. You can always shoot the image over to us in an email. However, you can use any image platform in order to actually crop that to be a perfect square. Underneath that, you'll see your team logo. Some of you may not have a team logo. You can always add the realtor logo, the generic KW logo. We've seen some agents use this location for equal housing, whatever it may be, but that's what you can essentially add in here. This logo does not have to be a square. It can be a square, however, it does not have to be. If you're noticing that your logo looks a little bit funny right here, it's only showing up like that on this page. The system is actually smart enough to resize your team logo to fit properly on all of your marketing platforms. So again, if you guys are seeing it on here and it looks a little bit wonky for the team logo, you're completely fine. The system will correct that for you on all of your marketing. Underneath your 2 logos, we have your details. This is just your basic information. So you're seeing your first name, your last name, license number, team name. For your first and last name, a lot of areas are going to, or a lot of boards are going to require you to have your legal name on everything. If you are in a state that requires that, just make sure that you do have your full legal name. If you go by a nickname, it can be in parentheses or a dash or whatever you'd like. But definitely touch base with your broker in charge just to make sure that you are following compliance for your state and your board. For your license number, we are not licensed real estate agents, so we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But right here should be your license number. This is also a great location to market if you are licensed in multiple states. If you are dual licensed and you're either splitting your time between 2 locations or you just live on the border, you can always put both of your license numbers in here with the state abbreviation in the beginning. It's just a nice way for you guys, again, to market that you are licensed in more than 1 state. Then we have our team logo, or I'm sorry, team name. If you do not have a team name, that is completely fine. We still recommend you put something here. Anything from your name, maybe your name with whatever brokerage you're with, whatever Keller Williams brokerage you're with. You can put a catchphrase, whatever you'd like. What your team name is going to market is it's going to essentially label your drop down list on your website. And I'll show that to you guys once we have our website up and going. You can always come in here and add something in later. This is not a one and done. You can jump back in here this afternoon and edit this at any time. But we do recommend that you put something there. It just allows you guys to customize that drop down title a little bit further. Underneath that, we have our professional job title and designations. We have digital marketer for both of ours. Obviously, if you are practicing real estate, you would want something along the lines of licensed real estate agent or realtor, all capital with that registered R. Depending on where you are located and practicing real estate will depend on what your title will be. If you have any questions on that, we do recommend touching base with your office. Your head broker in charge will be able to answer that for you, as there are some states that do require specific job titles be used. So, for example, if you're in New York, I believe they require licensed real estate professional rather than realtor with the registered R. And if you guys have obtained additional designations as well, you guys can add those in, either the abbreviations or whatever you'd like. It's, again, just going to help you guys customize your information a little bit further. Underneath that, we have our bio. You'll notice here that our bio is already set up with those line breaks. So anywhere we want that line break to populate, it's been added in right here. If you do have a bio that you do want to split into multiple paragraphs or whatever it may be, make sure that it's populating as such right here, because this platform, what we're updating right now, your marketing profile, is going to brand everything. So it's kind of like your one-stop shop. So this bio is going to go over to your mobile app. It's going to pull over to your website. It's going to pull over to any About Me widget or landing page that pulls your bio. It's going to automatically populate for you, which is great. However, you do want to make sure that spelling is correct and that formatting is the way that you want it to populate everywhere. Underneath that, we're getting into our contact information, starting with mobile number. Mobile number and office number you'll see for us is the same. Again, this will depend on your board and where you're practicing real estate. If your board or your brokerage requires you to have the office number of the physical Keller Williams office on your marketing, make sure that you are adding that in for compliance. Our mobile number and office number happen to be the same, so we've just replicated ours. You'll also notice with the phone numbers, there is no punctuation. The system is smart enough to add punctuation to almost everything. The only spot punctuation will not be added, we will actually be editing today. So if you want to add in the dashes or the parentheses, you can. However, down the line, if you go to create a custom marketing piece or a custom page for your website, it may require you to remove those dashes, just as a heads up. But worst comes to worst, it's just going to ask you to remove the dashes and then it will let you proceed. Underneath that, we have our email and website. For email address, this one's a big one. You do want to make sure that whatever email address is populating here is the one that you want your clients to see. If you are opting to use the Keller Williams email, that's completely fine. You'll want to make sure that's what's showing up here. If you are using a custom email, for example, we're using scott@scottleroymarketing.com, we want to make sure that's what's populating here. Again, this is going to brand all of our stuff that comes from Command. So our smart plans, our email campaigns, our designs, our website, mobile app, everything is going to pull from this section. For your website, if you are using the Command website, you'll notice all of them will end in .kw.com, and we're going to be setting this up today. So if you don't have anything there right now, completely fine. You can just put www.kw.com in order to have something there. That way it will let you save everything, because a website is required to make any changes. If you already have a URL there, you will want to make sure that it starts with HTTP or HTTPS. And then you have that semicolon, // What this does, either HTTP or HTTPS, it allows your website to be clickable from anywhere that it populates. So if somebody comes across your agent profile on the office website, or they're on your mobile app and they try to click on your website, by having that there, it's going to allow them just to click it and it will open that up in a new page for them. Without that HTTPS, what it does is it makes that client physically copy that URL and paste it into another tab. So it just makes things a little bit easier for them. That being said, if you're questioning which version you would need to use, whether it's HTTP or HTTPS, if you are using the command website, every single command website is going to end in .kw.com. It will always be HTTPS. So you'll always have that S at the end. If you are using a custom domain, it will vary. It depends on that domain. If you guys get stuck with that or you're questioning it, just let us know. Shoot us an email. We can take a look at it for you. But if you guys don't have anything here right now, for example, this is the class where we're going to be setting all of this up. You can just put www.kw.com as a placeholder. And then once we set up your website, we'll go back and get everything. You guys can go in and add this in later. But you will want to make sure at the end of class or even later on this afternoon, once you have made your command website live, just come back into your marketing profile and paste that in. Underneath that, we have our brokerage information, starting with our brokerage logo. If you are with a brokerage that maybe does not have a specific logo, that's completely fine. You can add the regular KW logo. If you are also questioning whether or not your brokerage does have a specific logo, you can shoot us an email. We keep all of them on file, so we can always shoot that back over to you. You'll notice here that we just opted to use the grayscale generic KW logo. You'll notice it also looks very wonky right here. It's very squished. However, on all of our marketing, it will autocorrect. So don't panic if it looks really funny right here. Again, it will autocorrect throughout all of your marketing platforms. The system will adjust that automatically for you. And I just got a question about a custom domain. Yes, you can link a custom domain to your command website, but not the other way around. So if you guys are using a custom domain, that can go in here, and that will essentially just direct people to that URL. On the right-hand side, we have our Market Center brokerage information, starting with our name. So this would be Keller Williams Realty Select or Keller Williams on the Water. Whatever Keller Williams office that you are associated with, that's what you're going to want in that first line. Second line, we have our brokerage phone number. Again, if you are with a board, a state, or a brokerage that does not require the office number, you can always repeat your mobile number. For us, we have our office number again. And then underneath that, we have the city or physical street address, and then city, state, zip is right underneath that. Make sure that the office address is actually the office address. Make sure that your actual physical home address is not accidentally added here. We have seen that a couple of times. And again, this is going to brand everything. So you do want to make sure that it is the office information and that you're not putting your home address on everything. Last but not least in that section, we have the Market Center brokerage license number. If you guys know that offhand, you can add that in. It's not required, so you don't need to have that added there. Underneath that, we have compliance. The first section of compliance is the legal footer text. If you are in an area that requires specific text to be added to all of your marketing, you can physically paste that right in here. And again, it's going to go everywhere. So that's the beauty of the marketing profile. As long as it's showing up here, the system will grab it and essentially distribute it to all of your marketing platforms. So for this one, we have each Keller Williams office is independently owned and operated. You can add that in. However, that's actually a standard. So that will automatically show up on everything, no matter what. If you're adding the broker number in, you would want to add it in exactly how it is. So if there are dashes in this broker number, you'll want to make sure it's added in as such. Underneath your compliance text, we have our legal footer links. This will not apply to most of you. However, if you are with a board or a brokerage That requires you guys to have a specific document, whether it's the fair housing document. I know that New York requires some information, or if you are with the state of Texas, they require you guys to have your information about real information about brokerage services added and the consumer protection notice. If you guys are in a situation where you just have a PDF that maybe goes over something with COVID precautions or anything like that, and you want it added to everything, this is a great tool. This allows you guys to hyperlink a PDF or an image and essentially add it as a clickable link to the footer of your website, your mobile app. It's going to be on all your smart plans, your campaign emails. It's going to be everywhere. So it's a great way for you guys to make sure that that's added if you have something like that. And again, if you guys need help with that, we do have tip videos that go over it. Just shoot us an email and let us know that you're trying to add a footer link, and we'll get that over to you. But this is a great tool just to keep in mind. Underneath that, we have our legal footer images. These show up very, very tiny. So the dimensions that you're going to get this image to populate as is 128 pixels by 48 pixels. It's kind of like a thumbnail. It's pretty much as small as you can get on the website. That being said, if you are with a state that requires a specific logo on everything or a board that requires a logo, I know the state of Maine requires the Maine IDX logo as well as equal housing. So if you guys are licensed in the state of Maine, that would need to be added here. Another thing that agents use this for is they add their additional designation logos. So for example, sometimes we'll see like the equal housing logo or the realtor logo, whatever it may be, you guys can add that in here. And again, it will populate everywhere for you. Moving down to social media. This is completely optional. If you have not yet set up pages, don't panic. You can come in here and add them in at any point in time. One thing I will recommend is if you have not yet set up a business page, do not add anything until you have. I would not recommend adding a personal Facebook page specifically because, again, this is going to go everywhere. This is going to show up as a clickable link on your website, on your mobile app. It's going to essentially market itself everywhere, which is great if it's real estate related. However, you want to make sure that you are sharing that business profile. So you guys have access to add a business Facebook page, a business Twitter page, and business Instagram. For YouTube, if you guys have a YouTube channel that is geared towards real estate or even just like walkthroughs, open houses, things like that, this is a great place for you guys to add that full URL. And then for LinkedIn, really any profile you guys have with LinkedIn is going to be business. So you'll be safe with that no matter what. As of right now, these are the only social media platforms that can be marketed. I know we get questions about that a lot. Someone just asked if TikTok was an option. Unfortunately, as of right now, these are the only options that you guys have to have automatically added to everything, but you can certainly manually add things like your email signature, your website down the line. Underneath social, we have our Facebook Pixel ads and Google Analytics ID. If you guys haven't set this up yet, we do have tip videos that go over how to set up both of those, and they're in the notes that I dropped in the chat earlier. They will also be hyperlinked underneath this video, and it will walk you through how to set up both of these and make sure that they're essentially added to command properly. Facebook Pixel and Ads is going to help you guys track any traffic for a Facebook ad run through command. Pretty cool. And then Google Analytics is going to do the exact same thing, except for your website. So it's going to track the traffic on your command website. So if you haven't set these up, I would recommend taking a look at those tip videos. And again, the Facebook Pixel, if you have a business Facebook page, this will work, but you would need to create that business Facebook page first. Last but not least, we have our branded KW app link. This is the URL that goes directly to your mobile app. If you have nothing there, or if you're not seeing a link that starts with app.kw.com, for example, there is a much longer URL. It has something about like secure app link. That is essentially the placeholder URL. If your URL does not start with the HTTPS // app.kw.com, and then / your code. If you're not seeing that, I'm going to show you guys where you can get that from next. So you can always come back in here and paste that in. But if you guys are seeing that longer URL, it has like a bunch of symbols in it. That's just the placeholder, kind of like the dummy URL. So there was something there. You guys can go ahead and just update it, and I'll show you guys where to find this URL as well. If you guys made any tweaks, any edits, added anything in, make sure you are saving this at the bottom of the page. And if you guys did make any changes, you're going to see this pop up. It's just letting you know that it was successfully saved. I'm just going to X out of this. And then on the top right-hand corner, before jumping into the actual website, you guys are going to see use my information to brand my agent site. You want to make sure that this is toggled to being green. If for some reason your marketing profile was not set up prior to right now, chances are this is toggled off and it's just a gray dot. You'll want to click on it and a compliance notice will pop up, just letting you know everything does need to be compliant for your state and your brokerage, and then it will populate as a green bubble. As long as you have a green bubble, all of the information that you guys just added to your marketing profile will be shared properly with all of those command platforms. If this is ever not populating as a green bubble, it means that this information that you just added to the marketing profile is not being shared. So just keep that in mind. Once you guys have gone ahead and done that, we are just going to jump into the physical website section, which is going to be the consumer icon. And again, I will show you guys where to find that mobile app URL really quick. But we're just going to go ahead and click on consumer. And if you guys ever second guess it, white KW and the red square, it will actually give you all of the titles of these. And consumer should be your last option. Once you guys pull up this section, if you are looking for your mobile app URL, that's going to be hidden right underneath site and app settings. And I'm going to show you guys where that is. If you don't need your app URL, you can stay on this page because we're actually going to be going back to this page. But if you do need your app URL under site and app settings, you'll notice it puts you right on that general tab. We're just going to move one tab over to URLs, and we're just going to click on that. Once you guys click on URLs, you guys should have your domain settings first. And underneath that, you should be seeing a mobile app URL with a little copy button. We are not licensed real estate agents, so we actually don't have a mobile app URL. However, as long as you are licensed and you've been with Keller Williams for more than 2 weeks and the office recognizes you as a licensed real estate agent, you guys should have that mobile app URL populating. It's pretty much right here. It's right underneath that domain. If you guys are not seeing that, shoot us an email and we can take a look at your account. Or if you're just brand new and you just joined Keller Williams, there is a chance that it just hasn't launched yet. It does usually take about 2 weeks, so don't panic. I did see some questions come up in the chat. As far as a blog goes on the website, there is no way to add a blog as of right now, but we do have workaround videos we go over in the 201 website class. And then as far as the listing information, if you guys have questions outside of the website, shoot us an email over to support@scottlebrandmarketing.com, and we can take a look at your personal account and see the best route for you guys. Once we are done grabbing that URL, you guys can add that into your marketing profile when you have a chance. But in order to get back to agent site pages, which is where we're going to be building our website, we're just going to go ahead and click on agent site pages right here. So if you guys are just jumping in here, again, I'm on, if you guys click on KW, consumer is the last option, and it will by default put you right on agent site pages. If you guys have already set up your website, chances are you already have these 3 pages. You may have additional pages, which is completely fine. What we are going to be doing today is we are going to be setting up these 3 pages. Again, if you already have those 3 pages, you can take this time to kind of adjust any of them. So if there's any tweaks you guys need to make or edits or whatever it may be, this process is going to allow you to do that as well. Because as of right now, there is no way to actually edit existing pages unless it is one of these 3 pages. So just keep that in mind. If you guys have added additional pages already, again, don't panic. They won't be adjusted at all. They will remain active and live on your website. It's only these 3 pages we will be working with today. So once you guys are on this page, we're going to go ahead and click on Configure Your Site. If you're not seeing Configure Your Site right here, if you scroll down bottom left-hand corner, this Configure Your Site will do the exact same thing. It's just going to bring us into that configuration. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. Once you guys click on Configure Your Site, you guys should be getting this pop-up. We're going to go ahead and select the first bubble, just saying that we want to use the new KW agent sites. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on Submit. Once you guys have this page up, we're just going to go ahead and click on Get Started. And this is going to allow us to, again, choose our subdomain, go over some of the themes and styling, and get those 3 pages created. Once you guys click on Get Started, you should see the compliance reminder. This may look familiar to some of you, especially if you just made your marketing profile live. It's just letting us know that we need to be following compliance. So as long as you guys are following compliance, you're good to go. If you guys ever have questions on compliance, that is something that you will want to touch base with your office for. Broker in charge, usually the MCA as well, team leader, really any of the market staff will be able to point you in the right direction, just in case you guys ever have questions on that. I'm just going to click on Acknowledge and Continue. Once we have this page up, you're going to see pretty much all of your edits are going to be done on the right-hand side. The left-hand side, this massive section right here, is actually your preview. So it's going to let you know what your website is going to look like based on the edits that we're making in this small section on the right-hand side. The first thing that you guys are going to see on the right-hand side is the subdomain. Ours is set up as Scott Leroy Marketing. And as I had mentioned earlier, all of the command websites will automatically end in .kw.com. If you guys have not yet selected a domain, you'll want to type something in following these specifications. Can't be over 30 characters, no spaces, no special characters. It also doesn't like capital letters. So make sure that when you're typing it in here, just make sure that it's lowercase. Down the line, once you're adding your URL to marketing, if you want the S to be capital, the L to be capital, the R to be capital, whatever you want, you can put that on your marketing. It's just when you're claiming your domain, it does like it to be in all lowercase, just as a heads up. If you guys have already typed something in here, you just want to make sure that you click confirm. For some reason, even if you have a domain already in here, for example, this is already our URL, but without clicking confirm, it won't let us move on to the next step. Once you have confirmed your domain, you should get this little pop-up saying, congrats, you've claimed your subdomain. If you get a red error message, it means that another agent is already using that domain. Just as a heads up. And you guys can always come in here and tweak this later as well. You're not locked into that. It is as easy as clicking right back here. And if I wanted to change this to have like the number 2 at the end or anything, I can confirm it and it will actually update it for me. So you're not locked in stone with this. Again, this is going to be your command domain. This is not your personal domain. Your personal domain would need to be linked to your command account outside of command. So if you guys purchased a domain, your purchased domain will then need to be forwarded to whatever you guys select here. Once you guys have confirmed that, we're just going to click on marketing profile, which is right underneath. And the beauty that we just set up all of our marketing profile is that all of that information is going to auto-populate for you guys. So this section is going to be really quick. It's essentially going to pull over everything from that marketing profile, but it's a great way, again, just for you guys to double check it, spot check it, make sure everything's spelled correctly. You have your first name, your last name, your market center brokerage, You have your market center address, and then we have our team and business name. If you guys did not add a team or business name previously, I'm going to show you our website just so I can show you exactly where that is going to show up. So if you guys did not select or add a team name previously, this is where it's actually going to brand. So in other words, your drop-down list for your website, your team name is the title of it. So if you guys leave that blank, if you guys don't put anything in here, which you don't have to, that title right here is just going to say agent. So by adding a team name, even if it's not technically a team name, your brokerage name, whatever you guys want, that's just going to allow you guys to customize that wording. And again, none of this is locked in stone. So if you guys decide in 2 days that you want to change something, don't panic. You can always come through this process again. Underneath that professional job title, all pulls over, email, we have our address or phone number. And you'll see this is where it does exclude spaces or special characters. It does require it to be just the number. So if you guys do have dashes here, you just need to remove those just for here. We have our bio, all of our spacing is still in here. Our license number, all of our compliance information pulled over. So we're essentially just scrolling through, making sure all that information we just put into the marketing profile pulled over properly. Legal footer. And then we get down to our imagery and we have our headshot. You'll see that Scott's headshot is cropped to be a perfect square. And now our office logo looks much better, no longer squished. And then we have our actual team logo is showing up here as well. And then underneath that, we have our social media. For your social media to be added to your website, it does need to be the entire URL. So if you guys only have, for example, if you guys only have, say, Scott Leroy Marketing, you only have the tail end of your URL, it is not going to allow you to move forward. You will need to make sure that you have the full HTTPS and then semicolon // facebook.com/your page. So you do want to make sure that all of them have that full URL. If you don't have it right now or you need a chance to grab it, don't panic. You can come back here later. You don't even actually have to come back in here. As long as you add the URL to your marketing profile correctly, it will feed automatically back into here. So again, don't panic. Underneath that, we have our app link. Ours is obviously very generic. We just have the kw.com/download because again, we're not licensed. If you are not a licensed real estate agent or if your app is in the process of downloading, chances are yours probably looks the same. Otherwise, it should have your full mobile app URL link. Once you guys have gone through that, we're just going to go ahead and click on Save and Continue on the bottom right. And yes, I just saw the question come through for the background. That's actually what we're doing now. So right when you guys click on Save and Continue, the next section is going to be Style and Theme, which will include the background. So once you guys have clicked on Save and Continue, the first thing you're going to see are the two themes that are available as of right now. We have the KW Red theme and the KW Dark theme. They are very, very similar, except the red theme is going to apply the KW logo. It's essentially going to make it that normal KW logo with the red and gray scale. And then buttons and labels will also show up as being red. If you choose the dark theme, if you don't add a Keller Williams logo, for example, anywhere the KW logo automatically populates, it's going to make it a dark charcoal gray. Most agents add a physical Keller Williams logo, so this really won't apply to that. It's more so going to be the buttons and the labels. Underneath that, we have our homepage text. This is going to be the text that shows up right front and center, right on that main page. So this is going to be, again, going back to our website, we have for all your real estate needs. This text right here is going to be your homepage text. You guys can tweak this. You can put your team name, you can put a catchphrase, whatever you guys want. You guys can adjust that right here. And you guys, there is also an easier way to make tweaks to this, which I'll be going over at the end of class. So if you don't know what you want to add this in right now, don't panic. You can edit it later, no worries. And I'll show you guys where to do it. Once you guys have adjusted that, if you'd like, we then have our upload a homepage hero image, which is essentially command's way of saying update your background image. For the command website, you do have 5 slots for images that will essentially rotate in a kind of like a slideshow. Hopefully this one moves over. But you'll notice that it starts, you guys have the standard images in there automatically, and then it just feeds through. If you notice, that one just changed. So you guys do have 5 slots here to play with. You guys can adjust it for maybe more local images or pictures that you've personally taken of properties from the past, whatever you'd like. In regards to these images, for the actual size, the recommended size for these images is 1200 by 1200 pixels. That is not accurate, just as a heads up. So 1200 by 1200 is going to give you a perfect square. That being said, you'll notice this is a very narrow rectangle. So what we've noticed, the best resolution for images that you guys are adding in as background images is going to be more along the lines of 1200 by 600 to 1200 by 800. So anything in those lines is going to be a little bit better. When it comes to uploading these images, in order to physically upload an image, you would need to delete one of the stock images because, again, you guys only have those 5 slots. So if you already have 5 images, you would need to essentially remove one in order to replace it. If you know you're not looking to use any of these 5, you can delete all 5 and then start uploading. It does take a little bit for these to load. Again, just give it a second to populate. If you guys already have images you want to update, you're more than welcome to do that now. I'm going to keep moving forward. But if you guys have images, you can always come back in here later and update them. Also, on the notes that I dropped into the chat, I did put 3 or 4 stock URLs, so stock photo URLs. So if you guys are looking for stock photos of mountains or a beach, or maybe just like new commercial listing, whatever you guys are looking for, they should have something in there for you, and they're all free stock images. So you're able to use those for your website. In regards to dimensions, if you guys, again, don't have pictures as of right now, maybe just jot this down. So again, dimensions you're looking for background images, you want 1200 by 600 up to 1200 by 800 is what we've noticed. So just in case you guys don't have those now, just jot it down and you guys should be good to go. As far as, I did see another question come through in the chat. If you can't confirm your domain, it means that somebody else is using that domain and you would need to select something else. Just as a heads up, if you guys are still on that section. But once you guys have had a chance to just take a look at these, you guys, again, can come back here and I'll show you guys an easier way to edit these outside of this platform as well. But does allow you to update these. If you do happen to only have 1200 by 1200 and you don't want to physically resize them, don't panic. When you go to upload them, it will allow you to physically crop them as you're adding those background images. So it will allow you to adjust them manually as well. So if you happen to have a perfect square for an image, completely fine. And it will allow you to tweak that. But once you guys have had a chance to take a look at that, we're just going to click on Save and Continue in the bottom right. Once we get to this section, this is going to be the company profile page. The beauty of this page, it is completely customizable. You guys can add any content you'd like. If you don't have content that you're looking to add as of right now, you can skip over this. I just want to go over where the information is going to pull from and what type of information you guys can add here. But if you don't have content in mind yet, don't panic. You can always come back in here later. The first thing on the right-hand side you guys are going to see is navigation. The navigation section is going to allow you just to reorganize how these pages are going to show up on that drop-down list. So as of right now, we have company profile first, then about me, then contact us. So again, hopping back to our website, it's just literally letting you know that's the order they're going to populate in. If you want maybe about me to be first, you can just drag and drop that, and then it will update that drop down list on your website for you. If you have custom pages already added, this will pretty much be obsolete as it's not going to adjust those custom pages or their location on that drop down list, just as a heads up. But this is a way for you guys to just reorganize them. Underneath that, we have our search engine optimization. Each page that we're doing today, all three of the pages are going to have search engine optimization, starting with your page title. This again is going to be the title of your page that shows up on that drop down list. So if you guys wanted to call it something else like why purchase in Maine or why work with an agent or why work with KW, whatever you guys want to promote on this page, again, it's completely customizable. You would just change your title based on whatever that is. Underneath that, we have our slug. The URL slug is just the tail end of your URL. So for example, our website is set up as scottleroymarketing.kw.com. And if we wanted to share this specific page, maybe we wanted to add it to our email signature or send it to a client, whatever it may be, we could send them this full URL and it will bring them directly to this page. You will notice with slugs, they do not allow spaces or special characters. So if you do have 2 words or multiple words, the best way to recognize a space is with a dash. So you'll see here about dash us. So it splits it up. Underneath that, we have our SEO description. Again, this is going to be based on whatever you guys decide to add to this platform. If you guys do not have anything that you want to add today, again, you guys can skip over this. We do have some generic information that we can add in for you or send over to you. So if there is something that you guys are looking for, just shoot us an email. It just kind of has some of the KW guidelines. And you guys can just copy and paste that in. But again, this is a great tool to go over maybe what you offer as a real estate agent or some specifics for the area that you guys cover. So depending on what you guys market on this page would depend on what your SEO description is. Just as a heads up, your SEO description is that little blurb that shows up on a search engine. So anybody who has used Google before, when you guys Google a page and you have that title of the URL, then it has the hyperlink right underneath it. And then it has kind of that synopsis that goes over what that page is, what you're about to click on. That's what the SEO is. So you guys can tweak that manually. And if you guys ever question this later on, all of these little eyes will tell you exactly what they do. Underneath that, we have our content, starting with our page header. Again, you guys can tweak that. Right now it's set as company profile. Then we have our header image. This header image, the size is accurate. So you would want 2000 by 500 if you're looking to change this skyline photo in the background. You would want to make sure if you're using a different image, it does need to be 2000 by 500 or it squishes it funny. So definitely make sure that you've resized whatever image you're looking to use. Underneath that, we have an intro paragraph. That text is going to populate right here. And then we have our section 1 headline, which is going to populate right here. Description right underneath it. And then you guys have an image. And that's right underneath that section 1 image. For these images, both for section 1 and section 2, you do want to make sure that they are cropped to be a square or they will they look a little bit wonky. It's going to do the same thing as your headshot. It ends up squishing it on you. And then in regards to these images, my recommendation is to keep them on the smaller side. Usually if you have a higher resolution photo, it won't actually load once this page is live. So if you guys do have a massive image, my recommendation would be to shrink that down. Not super small, but as far as size goes, usually like 1 megabyte. But if you guys are in a situation where you're not sure how to add it, or if you guys have any trouble with this, just shoot us an email and we can always take a look at your account for you. but just so you guys can see what type of content you can add. You essentially have a small square image, and then you have like a paragraph or two plus your headline. Same thing for section 2. You guys have that secondary image, that secondary headline, and this will allow you pretty much a paragraph or two. But as far as space goes, you'll notice, if you guys can see that this has a gray background and this little section has a white background, you don't really want it to overlap. So you guys can add in custom information. And again, we do have some standard information that we can drop in there for you as well. Underneath that, we have our footer title, which is right here. It's essentially the footer headline. And then footer description can be pretty much up to a paragraph. This is a great location if you guys want to specify like what neighborhoods you guys cover or what zip codes, what cities, dual licensed, whatever it is. A lot of agents use this area to just promote what locations they're comfortable with or what locations they practice real estate in, which I think is a great option. So that's an idea for that section. Once you guys have had a chance just to kind of look this over, we're just going to go ahead and click on continue. If you didn't add anything to this page at all, you can skip it. All it means is that it's not going to add this page to your website right now. It's essentially going to skip over this page for the time being. You can come back in here later and add it in. It's not, again, a one and done. It won't disappear on you. But if you're not looking to have it be live right now, you can click on skip. I'm just going to go ahead and click on continue though. Now we are on the About Me page. So again, first section, very similar to the last page, navigation. It's just letting us know which page we are on now. And again, you guys can tweak this if you'd like. Search engine optimization. Again, same thing as that last one. We have our page title. This is going to be the title for our page on that drop-down list. So if you guys are maybe a spouse team or you just want to make it a little bit more personal, we could put something like About Scott. And then we have our slug. It says About Me. I'm just going to update that to be About Scott. But you guys can tweak this. SEO description. Not very descriptive, but we'll put Scott. So I have my page title, my slug, and then my SEO description. And for slugs, I would try and keep them short and sweet. I know sometimes if people have longer titles, they'll try and do the entire title as a slug. That's going to make your URL very long, so just keep that in mind. So the shorter, the better. So just when you guys are creating those, especially down the line, if you create any custom pages, the shorter the slug is, the better, the shorter the URL. Once you guys tweak that, we have our content. We have About Me. I'm just going to update this just to match the title. So I'm going to put About Scott. And then title, his is set up as digital marketer at Scott Leroy Marketing. And that's populating right underneath. Most agents, we recommend that they put something along the lines of realtor with Keller Williams blank. So in other words, if you guys are with like Keller Williams Realty Select, Keller Williams on the Water, you would just put realtor with Keller Williams on the Water or whatever it may be. Or if you guys are on a team, that's a great way for you guys to market that you're on a team as well. And the slug would depend on what the page is. So as far as ideas for slugs, it would completely depend on what that page is for. Underneath that, we have bio title. That's just set up as About Scott. Again, you guys can add your full name if you'd like there. And then our bio. So the bio preview is not correct. So again, don't panic. As long as your information is showing up correctly in this box right here, and I'll drag that down just so you guys can see it, you'll notice all of our, my scroll bar, all of our line breaks are still showing up here. As long as they're showing up in this box, they will show up correctly on the live website. This preview right here is not correct. So again, as long as it shows up correctly here, you're good to go. Underneath that, we have the title, contact title. This is set up as just contact Scott. Again, if you guys want to add your full name or if you're a spouse team, you can add that in. And then we also have our contact phone number. You'll notice here, it pulls over with no dashes. Command does add those in. And then we've got our email, which should also be automatically pulling over for you guys and will populate right down here. And all of this will be clickable too, which is kind of cool. So if somebody comes across your website, they'll be able to click on your email and email you. They'll be able to click on your phone number if they're on their mobile phone and it will call you. Once you guys have done that, we're just going to go ahead and click on continue. Last but not least, we have our contact page. Starting with navigation, we have, again, company profile, about me, contact us. It's just letting us know what page we're on, and that contact us is the last page. We have our search engine optimization. Starting with contact us is our page title, meaning on the drop-down list, it's going to say contact us. Slug, short and sweet, contact. An SEO description is just contact us. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. And then we have our content, which is going to be limited, but because this is just your contact page. But once we click on content, it just allows you guys to tweak what is going to show up. So we have our header as contact Scott LeRoy Marketing. That's the big bold font right at the top. And then we have for all of your real estate needs and the intro paragraph. And you guys can put whatever you guys would like. I feel like ours should be for all your digital marketing needs. And underneath that, we have our message hint. This is really just what you're looking for from your client. So are you looking to buy or sell? What is your time frame? Where are you in your search? What is your budget? You guys can add or remove from that. And it's just going to, again, just be that suggestion that populates in that message box, just so they have some idea as to what you're looking for them to provide. Underneath that, on the contact widget specifically, the phone number does not add dashes. This is the only page that does that, so you can manually add those in, and you'll notice it will automatically update on your preview. So again, on this page, it's the only one that you physically have to add those dashes in order for it to show up formatted. Underneath that, we have our email. Just make sure everything's spelled correct. Good to go. And then we're just going to go ahead and click on save and continue. And this is going to make our site live. So again, save and continue. It should be right on the bottom right. If you had just set up your website for the first time, it may take a minute or two for it to load. Just give it a second to kind of just catch up with you. And because what it's doing right now is making your website physically live. It's putting it online. But once you guys do get to this page, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Manage Sites. And I'm just going to show you guys a couple of things that are in the back end of your account that will make it a little bit easier to make tweaks down the line. So again, I'm just going to click on Manage Sites. And it's going to bring me right back to where we were. And you should see now, if you guys just created a new page, chances are, so for example, I made changes to my About Us page, so it added a new page for me. I can either go ahead and remove this page or just make it not live, and I'll show you guys how to do that. But most of you should essentially have those 3 pages. If you are not seeing a teal eyeball, if you are seeing a gray eyeball right here, All that means is your page is still going live. Again, if you guys just set your website up for the first time, it can take up to 30 minutes for it to go completely live. So give it a little bit of time just to catch up. But as long as you guys are seeing those pages populating here, whether the eye is gray or teal, it means that it's essentially there and it's just taking a second. If you guys do have the teal eyeballs, it means that that page is live. And I'm going to show you guys just where to make some quick edits. So if there was something that maybe you skipped over, you want to come back in here and you want to tweak anything, a lot of this can be done under site and app settings. So we're just going to go ahead and click on that really quick. And once that page loads, you'll notice right under general, we have our agent site hero text. So again, that's that text that shows up right on that main page. You guys can edit that right here without going through that entire guide, which is kind of cool. Makes things a little bit easier. You also have your hero images. You guys can delete these and add in your custom images right from here. You'll notice upload is grayed out until I remove one. You guys have virtual tours you guys can add in here, and under preferences, you guys have access to actually enable the Keller mortgage on your app and on your site. So Keller Covered and Keller Mortgage. It essentially allows a clickable link to be populating there. Then for URLs, which we were on very briefly earlier, you can change your domain here, which is pretty cool. So if you guys do make like a change or an edit, you would just want to make sure that once you've made that edit, you're clicking on Save Changes, and that will lock it in for you. That goes same for general. Anytime you guys are making changes, always click on the Save Changes button. And that's just going to lock it in for you. Then we have featured listings. You guys do have access to add featured listings to your website. Commercial listings will not populate as of right now. It's only residential. And they are in the process of revamping this for you. So if you guys do come across any issues with the featured listings, again, don't panic, give it a little bit of time. Keller Williams International is working on getting that live again. And we do have a tip video added to the notes that go over exactly how to set this platform up. That's something you guys are interested in. And then theme, same thing. You guys have access to just reselect. So for example, if you guys chose dark theme before and now you want to take a look at red theme, you guys can go ahead and select the bubble and update your theme. Last but not least, we have agent site pages. This is where you guys can manually readjust what order these pages show up on your website. So as of right now, I have 2 company profiles, a new one and an old one. In order to essentially make sure that I have the right company profile up, what I can do, and this is specifically for me, chances are you guys don't have duplicate pages, but if you ever do need to change a page or delete a page, you can just make sure it's highlighted. And then you have options to either swap out the page that's there or delete it. I'm going to delete it since it's a duplicate. But you guys also have access to change the order. I can also come in here and say for my company profile, if you guys were to click select page, what that does is it lets you select any of the pages that you've created. So as of right now, my old page from March 12th is the one that's selected. I can select my one from today and click on continue. And you'll see they're all dated too. And then save it. And what that will do is just make sure that today's company profile that I created during class is now the one that shows up here. So that's how you guys can kind of swap those out as well. If you guys are still not seeing your agent site pages, so if I jump back to agent site pages, if you guys are still not seeing your pages show up here, it might take a little bit for them to populate. But if you guys are not seeing them within 30 minutes, shoot us an email and just let us know that you guys just set up your website and it's not launching. It's not essentially becoming active once you're done setting it up. Let us know and we can always take a look at it for you. But they should essentially be showing up as pages as of right now. As far as the rest of the customizations that you guys have access to update and edit on your website, we do have a 201 website class, which I did hyperlink in the notes. So if you guys are following along with the recording, and you guys are interested in the notes that go over just the Facebook pixel code, Google Analytics, featured listings, all of that is broken down. You guys can click on the notes underneath the recording. There is also a direct link to the website 201 class there as well. And that will go over how to add some custom pages to your website, some custom content, and get some additional tabs added. And yeah, that's pretty much it for websites. If you guys have questions, or again, if something just didn't look the way that mine did, or if you guys had any trouble with any of the platforms that we went over, just shoot us an email, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and just let us know what you came across. And we would just need your command login and we can take a look and see what's going on. And I appreciate you guys coming to class. I hope you guys have a great week.